Thank you. Hello, Barry and
Hi.
Richard and Oprah. I'm going to save my introduction for just a minute. I want to say a few things first. Barry, I applaud the work that you have done with your son and with this other child. I would love to have an opportunity to support, even financially, a research project to take a select group of autistic kids and work with them with your method, obtain some data, and see if it's possible for us to use your approach in a more universal way. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now I can introduce myself. I'm Charlene Merrill. I'm president of the Baltimore Chesapeake chapter of the National Society for Autistic Children. I know that some unfortunate occurrences have happened, and I'm very sorry about that. But I think that, in regards to the National Society and you, I really feel that if a poll were taken, most of the parents and professionals who are members of the National Society would be very willing and even able to contribute financial support to a research project. How do you feel about that?
I appreciate what you're saying, and I thank you for it. And I'm surprised that you're saying that most of the people of an organization like that would support that. For example, I've got calls from across the country that people go to the National Society asking how to get in touch with us, and they're told what we're doing is not correct and it's not appropriate, and recommend children to be into the kinds of programs that I just mentioned before, the kinds of programs that I think are unfortunately not productive to either the parents or the children. But what you say as an individual pleases me, and I thank you for that.
I think that you'll find as you travel around that you'll have more support than you thought you did.
Okay.
I want to get into these professional stuff. Thank you. The first woman with Kirk's mom talked about the professionals not really wanting to, and you telling me about the critics who didn't want your movie on the air. What can we do about the skeptical professionals who are so unwilling to take something like lots of time and lots of love as a solution and lots of hard work?
I think it begins with you and myself and everybody in this audience. I think that the professional exists to do what they could do because we turn our bodies or the bodies of our children over to them and we say, okay, you do it for me. And so then they turn around and they use drugs or they use other kinds of treatments. I think it's time to say, hey, help me, but only do it if I say it's okay to do. Only do it if it feels good to both of us.
The moms that are watching, the fathers that are watching, they have autistic children. They have not been able to reach them. They need somebody like you, or they need your therapy program. What do you say to them? To the mother who believes her child is unreachable.
Well, if they believe their child is unreachable, then
up to this point,
then I guess they wouldn't seek our input or seek this kind of input or want to know about a book like A Miracle to Believe in. If they felt there were things they could do, I feel that there's ways to train people, that every parent is incredibly capable. Every parent can be a wonderful facilitating teacher, and I think that could be taught to people.
Tell us about the commitment that you have to make.
Yeah.
Okay.
You gave your entire being to your son.
After is a very funny word, okay? People used to say, hey, you've made a great sacrifice. What a burden. If I was Pablo Picasso chopping on a piece of sculpture, on a piece of marble in the Mediterranean, everybody would go, hey, look at the man. He's doing what he wants to do. Well, why not, if you so choose to see it? Work with a little child, and instead of sculpting stone, sculpt a human being. For us, it's quite beautiful. The commitment, depending upon parents and what they want to do, for us was a 7-day-a-week commitment, 12 hours a day, but not necessarily only for us doing it. Since we trained volunteers, which are available at schools and universities, it was not being on all day, but at least guiding the program and participating 3 or 4 hours a day individually.
I must ask you this, because I'm sure people want to know. Do you have to be financially independent to be able to dedicate
Where do you
yourself?
get the money?
We're working with a woman now who has 5 children. Her husband was an alcoholic. They're divorced. She has one child who's spina bifida that went blind 3 months ago and is paralyzed from the waist down. Her youngest is autistic, and she's developed 12, despite that description. I mean, when I heard the description, I said, oh, how are we going to bail this lady out?
Oh, my.
Nevertheless, she is working with her child, and she has 12 students from local universities that are helping her, and he's in a program now that functions daily.
So the thing to do is, if you are a parent who wants to try option therapy, you go to a university or try to find some other help, some outside help.
Absolutely. And maybe the first place, though, is to begin with yourself. In other words, to begin looking at your child and say, okay, he's different, he's strange, he's doing bizarre behaviors. If that bothers me, if that disturbs me, why? Come to terms with it in your own heart, and then you could really be with your children.
Can you just tell us some of the things? What else do you do besides take on the behavior of the child? I know for a while you did the same things that Ron did, but then what kinds of teaching techniques do you use? And I'm sure that for a long time he doesn't respond to those things.
Correct.
So do you just keep trying them?
We keep trying that. We get involved with a lot of things which I would call movement techniques and music techniques, and techniques that involve trying to teach him by breaking down, like for example, putting a spoon in a cereal seems like just that quick movement. But we might start with breaking it down with just holding a spoon, and if you can get in touch with that, that might take a week. Then it's holding a spoon, putting it there. That's a principle that's kind of just an elementary teaching technique, but the point is that it's only on his terms if he wants to do it. So it's always going with a child. For example, if he goes into the room and picks up a telephone and starts to turn it around, well, that becomes the teaching tool.
All right.